So I really wish Nykaa did not do this. This is like something which I've been dying and I've been wanting a brand to launch, which are these quad eyeshadow palettes. So these are the Nykaa eye color eyeshadow palettes, and I have all the 7 variants which they launched in. So let's start off. So the Nykaa eye color palette, they come in 7 different shade variants, and each of them have 4 shades in them. And usually it's a good balance between the mattes and the shimmers. So they contain 5 grams of product in them, and they retail for 349 rupees. So in my opinion, I think the price point as well as the grams is pretty good, pretty well in the bar. And I think it's a great competition, especially for the e.l.f. bite-sized eyeshadows. So next up, we're going to do the most fun thing, which is the hand swatches. So I'm going to be swatching shades from 01 to 07 without any base underneath. So let's start off. So I hope you all enjoyed the swatches, and now let's move on to talking about the products. Okay, so let's talk packaging. These are basically transparent in nature, and the quality of the plastic is so much more better than the previous range of eyeshadows which they made, that 10-in-1 one. So compared to that, these are so much more better, and I did drop it and it did not break, which is amazing. So no mirror, no applicator, not a big deal to me. It is 349 rupees. So considering the price point and considering the fact that it's something which is perfect for like travel or an easy go kind of an eyeshadow palette, I think it's totally fine. So let's talk about the formulation, and I would say that the mattes in literally every single palette were amazing. They're not chalky, they're very buttery, very well pigmented. They're brilliant for layering, which is something I totally love. So even if it's the same color or 2 different colors, it layers really well. It blends beautifully like a dream. Perfect formulation, very good quality with the mattes. Now let's talk about the shimmers. Now the shimmers in some of the palettes were a little inconsistent. Like some of them were a little waxy, some of them were a little kind of powdery. So I really can't judge because it changes palette to palette. So when I compare these 2 palettes, which is 01, the shimmer in this palette, it has only 1 shimmer. The shimmer was very good. And when I compared 07, the shimmers were a little on the waxier side. So I think there was a difference in them, but nonetheless, it's very pigmented and it has a very good high shine kind of an effect. You can see the shimmer on my eye. It's pretty good quality with good amount of reflex, but you know, the consistency slightly varies. The one which I used today was from 01, and 01 was very kind of foiled, whereas 07 was a bit more on the waxier side. So if you don't mind that, I think it's a perfect buy. And a lot of times drugstore palettes, they do have a lot of shimmers, especially the high shine ones. They're mostly on the waxier side. So another amazing thing about this palette is that there was literally no fallout, which was a very big deal. Even with the shimmers, there was no specks of, you know, shimmer falling on the skin, and I think that was a great deal. And today I used the 01 variant where there's a black eyeshadow. So I didn't use an eyeliner, rather I used that with an eyeliner brush, and there was literally no fallout on my skin, which is saying something. And when you talk about the other palettes in this range, again, there was no fallout. There was literally nothing on the skin. Not a lot of kickback if you use your brush the right way on the palette. And the lasting power of these is pretty high, especially if you have a base like either a concealer or in case you use an eyeshadow primer. I think it lasted pretty well. I do not use eyeshadows on direct skin, so I really can't say about that. But when you have a certain base, I think it lasts easily for 7 to 8 hours. Talking about the color story, this is a very complicated factor in this palette range. So I'm just going to insert a picture of every single product right next to next, that you have a better picture about how they all look together. So one thing which I noticed, or one thing which I'm pretty sure everyone would have noticed, is that literally all the shades are either browns or they're all a pink family. So there's literally nothing other than that in the entire range. And when you see the entire 7 shade variants, a lot of them have colors which are repeated inside them. Like there could be a bronze in one palette and there could be another brown in another palette, and it just kind of goes on. So we're going to compare palette 5 and palette 7. So you can see that this color here and this color here are literally the same, and the same thing is happening with these 2 colors over here. So pretty much it just kind of plays around the same color family, and it's just multiple permutations. That's basically how I felt all the palettes were. So here's another comparison for you, which is between 2 and 3. So you can see that 2 has these 2 shades and those 2 shades in 3, and they look pretty much similar. Only the mattes are slightly different. Like this is more of a neutral one and this is more on the warmer side. So literally there is no other difference between the shimmers between these 2 palettes. So they're not exactly same, but there are like two shades which could be similar between different palettes. So if you are thinking of buying the palettes, look at the swatches which I showed you in the beginning and check which you exactly like the most and pick that one. You do not need to get more than 2 in this entire color story. You could probably just get one on the golden bronze side and the other one which is more on kind of like the pinky family side, and you're pretty much sorted. I would have definitely loved if they had probably a plum shade and one for plums and maybe one for blues, one for greens, and something on the cooler tone side like a very smoky gray and a khaki palette. We don't really have khaki palettes in India, so I really wish that each single palette would have had different color stories, and if they launched something like that, I would be on top of the moon. So that is how amazing it would have been. So that was my feedback on this range, and let me know if you would like to see an eye look kind of a series using these palettes. Like if you want to see 7 looks, I don't think if I'll be able to do it, but maybe 3 or 4 using just one palette, or if you want me to create different looks using different palettes, then we could always do that. So I hope you all enjoyed this one and stay tuned for more, and until next time, bye.